name is Brian Nickel, the Senior Product Manager here at Comtrend. I'm going to do a high-level overview and just an introduction of ACS Central today. So to get started, the product is free. I'm sure if anyone gets our newsletters, we released this about 2 weeks ago. So there's no cost to set up, to manage, to maintain this platform for service providers. So there's no server cost, there's no licensing, there's no per unit royalties. Comtrend has taken care of all that. We have the servers hosted here at Comtrend. We have multiple servers for redundancy as well. So some of the functions, it's a pretty basic ACS, so we've scaled down our full version to be able to offer something that is free and offers, just the basic functionality. So the functions that Mario is going to cover is primarily firmware and configuration file upgrades, and also there's a provisioning. So when you go through the process and set up an account, we gather some information from you as far as the models and your IP address information. And once we have that, the devices will automatically provision in your account. So anytime any new subscribers sign up, you'll automatically see that in the ACS Central web portal. So the questions that we get, the steps to start using ACS Central, one, you have to be deploying Comtrend modems. Right now it only works with Comtrend devices. It is TR69 compliant, but we are limiting it to Comtrend DSL modems currently. You fill out an ACS form. So Mario will show that to you in just a little bit, and that's where we gather all your information. And once we have your form, and we'll give it back to you with the username and password that you can log into ACS Central. After that, then it's really up to you to work with the Comtrend FAE that'll put in the TR69 values into custom software for you that you can use when you push out upgrades or on any new orders from any one of your distributors. So some of the questions that we get is how do we migrate? So say if you were to get onto Comtrend, the ACS Central product, and you want to transition to Comtrend's full ACS or a third-party ACS. So you would just have to talk to us, and we would work on your software requirements. So, we could easily change the ACS URL, and then when you push that out through our ACS, it automatically redirect to any new ACS that you had, whether it was also a hosted version or something that you guys manage internally. There's no limit to the amount of devices you can connect, so we don't have a limit today. And then also just why is Comtrend giving this away for free? I think that we see a lot of small service providers that just don't have the capacity to, buy the servers, pay the licensing fees, and pay the per unit royalties. But they need the ability to push out firmware upgrades, to push out configuration files, or just to push out new features. So if you're, have modems out in the field today and they support IPv6, but you haven't gotten, your infrastructure in place, once you are ready and your modems are all aggregated on the ACS Central, once you're ready to flip that switch, you can push out a software upgrade and any new, functionalities that you want are live. So I think it's a good product. We're seeing some interest, and that's great. And we hope, a lot of small telcos can start using ACS without any upfront costs. And my last slide here is just a reminder that we still do have our full ACS. So this is the version that if you want to purchase it and install on your own network, on your own server, it comes with full APIs. So if you want to integrate it within your backend systems, we offer that as well. So I'm going to turn it back over to Mario, and he's going to go through some more of the details with you guys.
Hello everyone, hope everybody's doing well. My name is Mario, and I am the Field Applications Engineer for the Southeast region here at Comtrend. And today I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about ACS Central. We will be going over the ACS request form, the CPE parameters that need to be configured. I will then go ahead and show you guys a demo of the ACS, and then at the end we'll have a Q&A. And again, just a reminder, if any questions you guys might have, please feel free to type them into the screen there so we can address them at the end of the presentation. So let's take a look at the request form that you guys will be receiving. Let's see here. This is going to be our basic request form. Pretty basic information as far as what you'll need. Date requested, requested by who, and who your field applications engineer is. There is 3 of us in the U.S. and Canada: Joe Pesci, myself, Mario, and Gerard Cison. Your company information will go in the section below: company name, your address, and all your contact information. Required information: your model number and what firmware version you will be using. This will help us determine how many models will be installed on your access window. The network IP range will help us determine who the modems belong to. So we will need your IP range and your subnet mask. Once you have submitted the form, and your assigned FAE has approved it, you will receive it back with a user ID and password that will allow you to log into our ACS. Now I am going to show you guys what the parameters are going to look like for ACS within your CPE. So under the management and TR69 client screen, you'll have to enable TR069, select MAC address for the form of ID that the CPE will use. Make sure to enable inform. Inform interval should be left at default. The access URL will be included in the user's manual, and it's also on the form that you will be filling out for access. ACS username and ACS password will have to be set to admin and 12345. And connection request authentication will also be admin and 12345. We will specify this in the user's manual, so you guys are fully aware of this. And next, we'll move on to our ACS Central. So once you guys have access to ACS Central, your FAE has approved your application, and you have received the login ID and password. This is the very first screen you'll come to. Here, I have set up a demo login account, so I will use that to log in. This is going to be the basic home screen that you will come to right off the bat when you log in. Your main control panel will be up here. As of right now, I only have one group set up, and it's just my 5374. But depending on how many models you guys are using, how many models are attached to our ACS, this list will change, whether it's a 5374, 5381, 5621, whatever the case might be. Model information. This screen will basically give you an overview of your model number, brief description, and a picture, which I don't have on here, but it'll display it in the body here. The statistics page will give you the information for this device group in particular. How many devices are online? Any issues that you might have? If you had scheduled firmware upgrades, how many have been upgraded? How have been upgraded with config files and how many have ever connected altogether. The statistics graph will show you the exact same information except in a more graphical form. Now, like Brian had already mentioned, there are two specific items you're going to be able to do with our ACS Central, and that's uploading configuration files and firmware files. And I'm going to walk you through. I'm going to walk you guys through how to upgrade or how to upload a config file and a firmware file, and then we'll follow that with how to do upgrades to groups and how to do upgrades to devices. All right, so configuration file. Okay, so in order to add a configuration file, excuse me, you will start in this screen. You'll go ahead and hit Add. Go to Choose File. I have a 5.4 file here that I have already selected. And open that. I'll just give it a quick name. Oops. And upload that. Now, in order to be able to do mass upgrades and configuration files, you have to have an HTTP server set up that will host your configurations files as well as your firmware files. So, just going to create the label, and I will label it test. So, and I'll go ahead and explain a little bit in the next step. I'll explain how we're going to use that and why we need to do that. So that's it. Now that your configuration file is uploaded into the system, it's ready to go. You can now put it onto any modems you may need to make any changes to. Let me go over and show you guys how to upload the firmware file. Just a little different and just a little more. See here. Okay, so in order to add the firmware file, you go ahead and hit Add. You go to Choose File, select your file, and hit Open. Now, the easiest way to input the software version is to open up a unit that you have already upgraded, and we'll go back to my unit here. And copy the software version from the beginning all the way down to the revision. And that's what your software version is going to be. And then you upload. Now, if you have any questions as far as you know what the software version is or how you would determine what this would be, you can always address it with you know, your FAE directly, and we'd be more than glad to help you guys go through this portion. Okay, so that's how you upload the configuration file. And again, we need to make sure that you have your HTTP server online. So that the modems can go and get the firmware from here. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and explain the HTTP server requirement. If you were going to be doing a configuration file or a firmware file for a single unit, this could be done directly from the ACS, and I'll show you guys in the next step where to do that. But in order to do groups, large numbers of modems, you have to have an HTTP server set up for the modems to download the firmware or configuration file from. And this is just so that our server here doesn't get clogged with all the requests all at once coming from it. So that's the reason behind the HTTP server. requirement. Okay, device groups. This is basically the screen where you would provision firmware upgrades for entire groups in your network. And the way you would do that, we go to Edit, and this is the screen where you would do this. Here's your group at the top here. Firmware, you would select your firmware file. Firmware download period. Now, normally, it gives you the option, and it gives you a nice little calendar to put in date. You can do that. We normally don't recommend doing that, just so that silly mistakes are not made. You put in the wrong date, and you end up missing your schedule. So you are allowed to leave this portion blank. And then just select an hour of day for your upgrade, for your firmware upgrade. In this case, I selected between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. Also, please keep in mind that this is Pacific Standard Time, just so that those of you who are in the East Coast don't have any modems down at 7 in the morning. And we normally recommend a 2 to 3 hour window to allow all, if not most, if not all of the CPE to check in and be able to get their firmware upgrade. This exact same process is also done for the configuration files. You select your configuration file. Again, date is there, not required. Time.
Or just to clarify, you're saying that if you put the time between 1 and 4, will it do it just that day or every day?
Every day. Every day. If there's no date, it'll check every single day. All right. So that's how you perform firmware and configuration file updates for an entire group. Next, we're going to go look at devices. This is devices screen for the 5374 group. As of right now, I only have one modem connected. That's all we're seeing here. Our green button here will tell us that the modem is either green online or red offline. We have the remote control screen, which will open up a screen directly to your modem, so you can troubleshoot it, look at it, copy firmware, whatever you might need to do. The device ID by default is set to be the MAC address, and this is how you would change it. If you wanted to add notes to this particular modem, who it belongs to, issues you might have had with it before, things of that nature. The upload screen will allow you to take the configuration file off of this modem and upload it onto your ACS config files. And the device information page is a little more in-depth information about this particular modem. These are your connection requests. What this will do is once you hit it, it'll ping the modem to check into the ACS right away. Your IP information, your software version, your software information, firmware, and config file. This is your log information. Status on this particular modem, and your delete if you wanted to remove it. So I'll show you guys the device information page. The device information page, again, is a little more in-depth look at what this modem is doing. The last time it checked in, firmware version, what group it's in, IP address. If you wanted to add the customer data and all the customer information, this is where you would do that. And again, down here you just have all the same icons that we had on the outside, except just a little more explained. This is your devices page. Your global home. Global home will allow you to search throughout multiple groups. So let's say you had multiple models here, 5374 and a 5381. This would allow you to find each and every one of those modems in any one of those model groups that you have selected. The global summary will show you a summary of every modem that's connecting into the ACS, no matter what model. It'll show up under this screen. It is highly recommended. I'm sure, as all of you guys know, that we do that before you deploy any modems onto the ACS Central and you start doing upgrade to 200 modems, you test in your lab environment first with multiple modems to ensure that everything works accordingly and everything is going to work as necessary or as expected.
Mark, there's one here that says they're looking for an example of how it's used. So here's an example. Let's say a telco has ACS Central set up with the software and the firmware on board. An installer goes out to a customer's house, and once he's got the gateway successfully connected to the internet, it'll automatically connect to ACS Central. At that point, it would check in on the firmware or the configuration file on the modem that was in the truck. And if you'd set up the ACS to upgrade it to a newer config file or firmware, it would do so automatically right there. So while the technician is still there or leaving the house, it would be upgraded. And then, so removing that helps you to not have to update your CP in your inventory. So that's a good case study for it. There was one example that someone asked about. When would someone do this? Under the philosophy, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. As we know, there's certain exploits that have happened on the internet with DOS attacks and different vulnerabilities. And if you had your new firmware and you wanted to upgrade, hundreds of modems in the field, ACS Central would do that for you. All right. Anything else?
Let's see, I see a question here. Are you able to use an HTTPS server? HTTPS server is not supported and that was Carlos. Okay, next question. So will this work if the management IP address is behind the firewall? Not behind the firewall, no. So we have a config for our static subnet customers. It would be a specific config for each customer, and we have one config to push to one modem that needs a unique IP assigned to it. This is possible to do via groups.
So you have two means of assigning config files. One is to the group, and one is to the unique device. So an individual device can either have a unique config file, or if the group has a config file, you have the option to override the group and assign a unique config to a device, a single device.
Okay. Are there any APIs to upload new device / customer info? We have a template in the user's manual that will tell you how to upload the what format to upload that information in.
We greatly value, of course, your time, and please send feedback in to us. I highly recommend contacting, of course, your FAEs, Joe, Mario, and Gerard, for more information. All right, again, thank you so much, guys. Again, please contact us. We'll sign up, and we'll make this recording available for later viewing as soon as possible. Thanks so much. Logging out.